I took the job because it paid cash and asked no questions. The ad was buried on a back page of a forum I didn't even remember signing up for. Security needed for overnight shifts. Sunshine Kingdom Theme Park, Florida. Closed. Quiet. Must be alone. $500 per night. Don't touch the costumes. No contact number. Just a location and a time. I figured it was a scam. But when you're broke, desperate, and owe your cousin rent for sleeping in a carport, $500 per night sounds like salvation. Or bait. Turned out it was both. Sunshine Kingdom had closed in 2013 after a string of lawsuits, 2 missing persons reports, and what one article described as incident-based creative inconsistencies. Whatever that means. But when I arrived at 11:55 p.m., the place didn't look abandoned. It looked paused. The main gates opened by themselves. Not motorized. Just opened. The front plaza still had music playing, soft, low, warped like an old cassette tape melting in the sun. The animatronic ticket girl behind the booth still smiled. Her mouth didn't move, but the speaker beneath her said, "Welcome back. We missed you." I found the security shack near the carousel. Inside, a battered desk. An ancient black and white monitor system. A ring of oversized cartoon-themed keys. A weathered map of the park. And a laminated sheet taped to the wall that simply read, "Sunshine Kingdom, Night Protocols, Mandatory. If you hear the princess calling from the castle, do not respond. Never open the costume room after midnight. The carousel must be powered down by 3 a.m., even if it doesn't turn on. If you see a mascot in the food court after 2 a.m., pretend you don't. Reflections in the mirror maze are not always yours. Avoid 1:15 to 2 a.m. There must never be more than 6 mascots visible. If you count 7, hide. The parrot in the pirate ride sometimes tells the truth. If it speaks about your death, believe it. At the bottom, in faded red sharpie. Don't let the park remember it's closed. Keep it busy. Keep moving. Don't watch the rides when they're not on. No signature. No supervisor. Just the heat, the music, and something big shifting inside the dark castle tower. I almost turned around right then. But I'd already pocketed the $500 advance, and pride's a hell of a drug. So I turned on the monitor, clipped the keys to my belt, and stepped into the park. The rules seemed ridiculous at first. Mascot limits? A talking parrot? A mirror schedule? It read like someone's idea of viral horror bait, until I started my first round. And the castle started calling. The Sunshine Kingdom castle was modeled after the old Florida tropics, stucco towers, faded mosaics of orange blossoms, and a fiberglass princess balcony. I walked by it at 12:37 a.m. The lights were off. The drawbridge was up. And yet, I heard her. A voice. Soft, feminine. Perfectly clear over the dead speaker system. "Hi there. Are you lost?" I froze mid-step. There was no power running to the audio towers. "You look new. I could show you the park. I remember all the secrets." It was coming from the balcony. I didn't look up. Didn't speak. Just remembered Rule 1. If you hear the princess calling from the castle, do not respond. I kept walking. She didn't like that. The voice shifted, the sweetness fading, the pitch warping into something deeper. "You don't have to be scared. I remember when you were a boy. You loved the teacups." My stomach twisted. Because I had. When I was 6. In a completely different state. But I hadn't told anyone that in years. The carousel music behind me stopped. All the lights in the park blinked. Once. Then again. Then everything went dark, except the castle window. It glowed faintly. Gold and pink. Like sunrise through broken glass. I kept walking. Didn't speak. Didn't run. When I reached the arcade at the center of the park, all the lights snapped back on at once. The monitors flickered. The princess's voice disappeared. And in my pocket, the laminated rules sheet had folded itself. the edges now worn like it had been read hundreds of times. I made a note in the empty corner of the rules sheet. If she calls you by name, you've already answered. Walk faster. Don't look back. That night, I sat in the security shack at 1:03 a.m. and counted the mascots on the monitors. 5. All frozen in the courtyard. Good. But I already knew it wouldn't stay that way. Because I could hear footsteps in the costume hall. And the rules said not to open it after midnight. 1:57 a.m. The monitors in the shack crackled once. Old CRT static washed over camera 3, the courtyard feed. When it cleared, I saw Sonny the gator. Standing. Motionless. Right in the middle of the empty teacup ride. Sonny was the park's original mascot. Big cartoon alligator. Foam mouth, bulging eyes, yellow neckerchief. A constant forced smile and open arms for hugs. I'd seen the suit earlier that evening, locked in the costume room, hung up like a retired athlete's jersey. But now here he was. In full color. In motion. And he was looking directly at the camera. I blinked. Switched feeds. Back again. Still there. Still staring. And then. He waved. Not a glitchy twitch. Not animatronics. A full, human wave. Like he recognized me. Like he was saying, "Hey, rookie. Don't forget to smile." I dropped the monitor's brightness and checked the physical key log. Costume room still locked. No override. No motion alarm. But camera 6, near the carousel, lit up. Sonny was there now. No transition. Just moved. Standing beside the carousel. Still waving. I grabbed the flashlight. Against my better judgment, I left the shack. Just wanted to confirm what I already didn't believe. Walked through the central courtyard toward the teacup ride. And stopped. Because Sonny was standing just past the fence rail. Exactly where the camera had shown him. Except now, his hands were at his sides. And he was breathing. The suit chest rose and fell like a person inside. But the zipper was missing. There was no seam. Just green fur and too smooth skin, like the suit had fused to whoever was inside it. His mouth opened slightly. But no sound came out. Then I noticed something worse. 2 suit feet on the ground. And a third one sticking out from under the teacup. I backed away slowly. Didn't speak. Didn't blink. Made it to the shack and rewound the camera feed. At 1:33 a.m., someone in a security uniform walked into the courtyard on screen. Looked like me. Sonny was standing behind them. When they turned to face him, the feed glitched. Then showed only one figure. Sonny. I blacked out that monitor with duct tape. And wrote on the rule sheet. Rule 6A, amended if Sonny waves. It's not a hello. It's a warning. Leave before he stops smiling. 3:07 a.m. The castle lights were off again. Sky above it, moonless. The courtyard empty. I should have stayed in the shack. But the monitors fuzzed out. All of them. Except one. Camera 1, castle balcony. She was there. Not a costume. Not a shadow. The princess. Standing behind the rail, one hand resting on the edge, head tilted just slightly, like she was listening. And then she spoke. Not through a speaker. Not through the monitors. Into my mind. Like a memory playing in the wrong voice. "Why did you leave me in the fountain, Joey?" I staggered back. No one in Florida called me Joey. Not since I was 5. Not since I fell into a koi pond at another theme park. One I hadn't thought about in decades. She kept speaking. "You cried when they took your balloon. You said you'd come back. You didn't." I checked the laminated rule sheet again. Rule 1 was still there. If you hear the princess calling from the castle, do not respond. I hadn't responded. But she was answering me. I went outside. Not toward her. Just close enough to see the castle clearly from the carousel plaza. The drawbridge was down. For the first time. No power. No gears moving. Just lowered, waiting. The music started again. That broken lullaby, warped and slow, like an old princess show tape playing through molasses. And then the elevator in the tower activated. Lights along the shaft lit one by one, descending. Not up. Down. She was coming out. I turned and ran. Back to the shack. When I slammed the door, every monitor came back online. All camera feeds reset to 3:33 a.m. But the castle feed stayed dark. Except in the reflection of the window beside me, where I saw her standing behind me, in the screen's glass. Smiling. I didn't look back. Didn't move. Just whispered, "I'm sorry." And she vanished. The next morning, I found a tiara on my chair. Plastic. Cracked. Still glittering. Underneath it, carved into the desk. "The princess forgives. The castle never does." I added a new note to the rules. Rule 1B: if she speaks about your childhood, you've been here before. Do not go inside. Do not go under. The kingdom remembers what you forget. 1:28 a.m. The mirror maze sits near the back of Sunshine Kingdom, tucked behind the candy cart and a faded mural of balloons and dolphins. I hadn't gone near it before. Rule 5 was clear. Reflections in the mirror maze are not always yours. Avoid 1:15 to 2 a.m. But tonight, the air pulled me there. The entrance spun slowly, one of those rotating barrels made to disorient you. Except the barrel wasn't turning. It was breathing. In. Out. Just enough to make your balance question its loyalties. I stepped in anyway. Just for a peek. Just for a second. The mirrors inside were old, stained, warped, and cracked in places. But they didn't reflect like normal glass. They showed versions of me that moved slightly out of sync. Tilts of the head that I didn't make. Smirks I didn't feel. And one mirror, far at the end, near the emergency exit, showed me wearing the Sonny the Gator suit. Full costume. Mouth grinning wide. Eyes hollow. But my eyes looked out from inside. I turned around. Fast. But that mirror didn't show my back. It still showed me facing forward. Now pressing against the glass. Mouth moving. I stepped closer, slowly, 1 foot on the sticky floor at a time. My reflection whispered, "You never left." I shook my head. "I'm not you." He smiled. Wider now. "You're not yet." Behind me, the mirror barrel started spinning. Fast. The maze lights flickered. All reflections now showed me. Every single one. But they were bleeding. From the hands. From the mouth. From the eyes. And all of them mouthing the same word. Stay. I stumbled toward the exit. Pushed the emergency bar. It didn't open. Instead, a reflection stepped through the mirror. Not glass breaking, just passing, like water disturbed by a memory. It reached for me. And behind its back, I saw it holding my flashlight, the same one in my hand. I didn't fight it. I threw the mint I kept in my pocket against the mirror beside me. A gamble. The glass shattered, and all the reflections screamed in my voice. Everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was back at the carousel. 1:59 a.m. The maze was gone. Or at least, the entrance was. Only a blank wall where it had stood. Back in the shack, I found my reflection in the black monitor screen. Still me. Still blinking. But I couldn't help but wonder. Was it just a delay? Or was he still watching? I wrote in red ink. Rule 5A: if your reflection moves first, leave. If it speaks, it's already inside. Never touch the glass. 2:06 a.m. I was doing a lazy loop near the Captain Scully's River Adventure ride, one of those indoor animatronic boat rides designed to feel like Pirates of the Caribbean, but cheaper and stickier. The place had been shut down for over a decade. No water in the trough. No power in the animatronics. But the smell of chlorine and rot still lingered. The security keyring had one labeled Scully Control. So I did what I'd avoided all week, stepped inside the loading dock. It was quiet. Too quiet. The rubber skeletons hung from their wires like forgotten puppets. The ride boats sat motionless in the track. I passed the control booth, checked the breakers still off, then turned toward the main cabin of the ride. And that's when I heard it. A scratchy, cheerful squawk from deeper inside. Squawk quawk. 4 days left, Joey. You die at 2:11 a.m. Friday. I froze. That wasn't a ride line. No child had ever screamed and laughed to that script. I followed the voice, cautiously, stupidly, toward the next scene, the captain's quarters. And there he was. Captain Cluckles. A half-melted animatronic parrot sitting on a fake rope swing, one wing barely holding on. His eyes glowed red in the dark. And he spoke again, slow and chipper. Better bring a flare gun, Joey, or they'll never find your name. I stepped back. He turned his head to follow. No power. No movement. But he kept speaking. They already circled your picture. 3rd page. Under S. You're almost one of us. The voice shifted. Became clearer. Calmer. This is your final shift. I ran. Didn't look back. Didn't check the breaker room. Didn't stop until I reached the shack. At 2:11 a.m., the parrot's voice came through the red phone. Just once. Tick-tock. I blacked out the Scully ride monitor and grabbed a post-it. Wrote it in all caps. Slapped it on the wall above the rules. If the parrot talks about your death, believe him. Make peace. Or leave. He hasn't been wrong yet. And beneath that, I penciled in something softer, something for me. Find a flare gun. Buy more time. Asked who circled my name. 4 a.m. The park was quiet again. Too quiet. That kind of stillness that sits behind your ears and makes you notice how loud your own blinking feels. I sat in the shack, sipping lukewarm vending machine coffee, trying not to think about Friday at 2:11 a.m. Then I heard it. The carousel music. Playing. Slow, dragging like it was underwater. I hadn't turned it on. And it was supposed to be shut down by 3 a.m. I switched to camera 5, the central courtyard. The carousel spun in slow loops. Lights dim. Figures dancing. Mascots. 7 of them. Sonny the gator. Bella the balloon fox. Captain Cluckles, the walk-around version. Ranger Ricky the raccoon. Peachy the pineapple. Millie Moo the cow. And one more. 7th one stood still. Too still. Costume didn't match the others. No face. Just blank canvas fur, mismatched eyes, and a mouth stitched into a smile too wide for its head. No tag. No color. Just black. I counted again. 7. The rule came back sharp in my mind. There must never be more than 6 mascots visible. If you count 7, hide. I ducked under the desk. Didn't breathe. Didn't blink. Then, something worse. The monitor fizzed, not with static, but with teeth. The screen filled with the 7th mascot's face, grainy, grayscale, pressed against the camera. Staring. Smiling. And in a voice like wet cardboard being torn. Found you. The shack door creaked. Floorboards groaned. Footsteps. Heavy ones? The kind that don't bounce, just settle like weight looking for new bone. The door never opened. But something slid an envelope under it. On Sunshine Kingdom letterhead. I picked it up, hands shaking. Inside. A photo. Black and white. Blurry. Me. Wearing a mascot suit. Same blank one I'd just seen. On the back of the photo, handwritten. Tag him. We're short one. By sunrise, the 7th mascot was gone from the feed. But my reflection in the window? Still smiling too wide. I scrawled into the rule sheet with a knife this time. Rule 6A, if there are 7, you're being counted. One of them is looking for a replacement. And if it smiles like you, run. 5:22 a.m. I couldn't sleep anymore, not even between shifts. So I started exploring areas that weren't on my patrol route. The administration building sat behind the food court, tucked behind a chain-link fence wrapped in faded tarps. The lock on the door? Rusted, but broken. I stepped inside with the flashlight. Mold. Dust. And the feeling that the ceiling tiles were listening. Inside the old HR office, file cabinets still stood. Most were empty. One wasn't. Third drawer down. Far left. Locked. But the Scully control key from earlier? It worked. Inside was a single file folder. No label. Just a red wax seal stamped with the old mascot crest, a crown made of sunrays. I broke the seal. Inside. A contract. A faded blueprint. And a page titled Sunshine Kingdom, Soulbind Amendment. Addendum 13B. For eternal performance. I read it twice. Then a third time. Then I sat on the moldy carpet and stared at the wall for 20 minutes. Because the contract didn't just outline employment agreements. It detailed something far worse. All park personnel, performers, and likenesses are bound in perpetuity to the kingdom's narrative domain. Termination of life does not nullify performance obligations. There was a clause that redefined exit as narrative completion, and another that allowed legacy consciousness integration for characters willing to perform posthumously. But this is what stopped my heart. A line scrawled in blue ink across the margin. Different handwriting. Recent. You may close a park. You may not end a story. The blueprint was worse. It wasn't of the park. It was of the costume suits. Specifically the Sonny the Gator model. Handwritten notes in red circled the spine. Integration successful. No zipper needed. Final layer is skin. I left the building. Or tried to. The hallway stretched longer than before. The doors reappeared behind me, same file room, again and again. Until finally I kicked one open and found myself back at the shack. Outside, the sun was rising. But it didn't feel warmer. Just more artificial. Like the park was pretending it still belonged to the world. I crossed out, closed, on the map I'd been using all week. Replaced it with a word that felt more honest. Sealed. And on the back of the Soulbind Amendment, I wrote one last truth. The mascots aren't haunted. They're trapped actors. They never clocked out. Now they want you to finish their scene. 3 a.m. The carousel started spinning on its own. No power. No guests. No music at first. Just the slow, mechanical groan of worn gears remembering how to move. Then came the speakers. All of them. Across the park. From the castle to the show cart, every crackling cone whispered the same announcement, in a cheerful, too-human voice. One last ride before lights out. The mascots emerged. All 6. One by one, they stepped from shadows and doorways and dark corners like they'd rehearsed this moment for years. Bella the balloon fox held a sparkler. Millie Moo waved a cotton candy wand. Even Captain Cluckles waddled like he was proud of the rust in his joints. Then came the 7th. The blank one. The replacement. Wearing a head too big. Eyes too dark. A badge on the chest with one word. Guest. I ran. Toward the security shack. But the door was locked from the inside. My keys didn't work. The monitors glowed, all of them showing me in third person, running, panicked, from camera to camera. But the 7th mascot never chased. He just stood at the center of the carousel. Pointing. To the empty horse. The one in the front row. Paint faded. Seat split. But waiting. The music kicked in. That broken, warping version of the theme park anthem, dragging like melted ice cream in a heatwave. And the voice returned. You're the new guest, Joey. It's time to ride. Suddenly, I wasn't running. I was sitting. On the carousel. Hands gripping the pole. My body moved, but I didn't feel it. I could still see the park from my seat, spinning slowly. Then faster. Until the colors blurred into streaks of neon and rust. Across from me, Sonny the Gator sat on a painted giraffe. He waved again. Slower now. More tired. I tried to scream, but my voice came out over the speakers. Welcome back to Sunshine Kingdom. We've missed you. And then, silence. No motion. Just the carousel gently rocking under flickering lights. The mascot's gone. The sun rising. And the guest mascot suit now resting in the security chair. Empty. Smiling. Waiting. At 6 a.m., the gates opened automatically. And a car pulled in. Young guy. Backpack. Nervous look. He stepped out, saw the shack, and walked toward the door. He didn't see me on the carousel. Didn't hear my voice stuck in the music. Didn't see the photo taped to the inside of the shack window, the one labeled Employee of the Month, Joey. Welcome to the kingdom. Because the truth is, this park doesn't fire people. It recasts them. And every night someone needs to smile for the cameras. Some with face welcome to Sunshine Kingdom, some with face open after dark. Always hiring. No experience required. Just follow the rules. Or don't. The park loves improv.